Hi guys, I'm Paul Berwick from MPE Motorcycle Suspension. Today we're going to have a quick chat about the nice little Yamaha adventure bike, the Yamaha T700. It's been a really popular bike. 2 years ago we purchased a bike to do R&D through our shop, and from our own test riding and information that we gathered from customers over the past 2 years, we've been refining this bike. We've got some really nice setups on them. Had a lot of positive feedback from bikes that we've set up. So today just sort of going to do a quick run through the little modifications that we do, complaints that people have had with the bikes, what they find, and the improvements, the areas that we improve the suspension. So a lot of the feedback that we get on the standard bike from people is find that they're quite harsh on square edge potholes. So you go along a dirt road, you have a square edge pothole, get a lot of feedback through the handlebars, through the seat. Same on corrugations, you're coming up out on a country road, dirt road, on a little bit of an incline, the corner's corrugated, they want to get on the gas, it just won't drive, it chatters up on that corrugation. So this is a damper unit from the front fork. A lot of people complain with the front fork, so they're very harsh on the surface of the ground, on embedded rocks and tree roots and on trails, on four-wheel drive tracks where the four-wheel drives have been in wet weather and left track marks. They're quite harsh on that, and you get a lot of feedback through the bars. But then if they jump off erosion mounds or through sharp G-outs, the forks tend to fall through the stroke really quickly. So on this damper rod, on traditional dirt bike forks, they have what they call, it's a secondary stage of compression dampening. It's what they call a mid valve. So this particular fork on the T700s, they don't have that mid valve. So they're doing a lot of their compression dampening on their base valve, on the bottom valve. What a mid valve does is control how much travel it uses and how quickly it uses it up. So when we do our modifications, we add a mid valve back here, like most dirt bike forks have, and then let this do a lot of the work, and then we can actually soften the bottom compression dampening, which gives you the feel back on the trails. So a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence to stand up, say on dirt roads with the bike, unsure on what the front end's going to do. A lot of people are putting the blame on the tyres for sort of lack of grip and feel, but we find it's the suspension. The way Yamaha have set this bike up, they're faced with, they've got to try to set it up to give a good ride to suit anyone who walk into the showroom and purchase the bike. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel, but what we're doing, we're customising the suspension to suit the individual rider. So what we found with the T700, find that they're over dampened on that very first part of the stroke. So that's why it gives you that lack of feel, a lot of feedback on potholes, small rocks, tree roots. They're a little undersprung. And a little under dampened in the later part of the stroke. So harsh initially, we find, and that's the feedback that we get from people. But then if you go through a sharp G-out, a dip, drain, or if you're jumping off erosion mounds, then they'll tend to really fall through the stroke. So they're a little undersprung, a little under dampened in that later part. So what we're doing, we're sort of turning that round. We're softening the initial part of the compression dampening, speeding up the rebound in that initial part, so letting the wheels really follow the surface of the ground. But then we're stiffening up that mid to later part of the stroke, and then we'll match spring rates to suit the individual rider. So, you know, a rider might be 80 kilos and he's predominantly doing adventure riding, so he's always got 30, 40 kilos on the back here. So we'll match a shock spring to suit that setup. Or if you're just doing 50-50 adventure and no gear, well, we'll set it up. So every job that we do is individual. The beauty of this bike, you have that hydraulic preload adjuster. So generally we're trying to set up the rear end. So solo riding, you can have that preload adjuster on a minimum setting and then increase it as you need to, as you add the luggage to it. So the spring rates we match to the riders. So basically we're matching spring rates from 75 kilos to guys who are sort of 100, 110 kilos plus, and plus their gear. We have a really good range of fork and shock springs. We predominantly use a K-Tech springs. They're really good quality, lifetime warranty, and a really good range of spring weight, so we can really match the springs to suit the rider weight and your luggage. So basically we're giving you, as I said, we're just turning that round, so the improvement over the suspension will fine, be much smoother on dirt roads, potholes, won't get that bang back through the bars when you hit a pothole on a dirt road, but you'll be able to go through dips, G-outs, jump it off erosion mounds, won't fall through the stroke, crash through the stroke. And on faster four-wheel drive tracks where the ground's undulating and so forth, it will be a lot less wallowy than the standard. Standard, they tend to wallow through everything. Once it's set up, it'll sort of be a lot more controlled and go across the ground a lot nicer. So with this particular bike, with the Yamaha T700, so we purchased one of these bikes 2 years ago. So we've had a lot of experience, so personal experience, staff from the shop, myself, rode the bike when we purchased it, basically picked it to bits, picked its faults, areas that we'd like to improve, and then over the past 12 months, 2 years, or the initial 12 months, 2 years now since this bike's been out, we've gathered a lot of information coming back from customers. So from the standard bike, so if you hear the same thing, people telling you the same thing, so that's an area we start looking at, working on. So really had a lot of experience with this bike, really got them nutted out. Customers have really positive feedback with the bikes that we've set up. So as I said, we've spent a lot of time. We knew it was going to be a prominent model in the range, that's why we purchased one. Generally with Yamaha, they'll run this suspension for quite a few years before they make any major changes, so it's really worth our while and been worth our while to put the time into this bike and get the settings correct and working well to suit our customers. So we've had really positive feedback.